As students settle into a new school year, security remains a main concern for parents and school leaders.
348 mass shootings.
With news of a school shooting, 13-year-old boy killed at least 9 people in a school shooting.
Yet another school shooting.
Another deadly school shooting in America.
At least 3 children are reported dead after a shooting at Covenant School.
Well, this deadly rampage is the 27th school shooting to happen so far this year. It is part of a troubling rise in active shooting incidents in the United States.
Video shows teachers and students running for their lives. At that point, a teacher had been hit.
Is your child safe at school? 8 children were killed by their schoolmate, a 13-year-old schoolmate. He had gone to school with guns and a kill list, one that he had carefully prepared over weeks.
It's scary to think that this is the type of world we live in, where you have to be fearful in public places of knowing that something like that can happen.
This image, one that has become all too familiar. Students evacuating with their hands up.
15 people have been killed, students and adults. At least 15 injured.
Somebody come in and shoot the school. Like, that's really scared me with all the shootings that there's been. There's one every day, which is very scary.
It's even come to points where I'll be in a classroom learning, and in the classroom over, someone will drop a book. I hear a loud noise, I think I hear a gunshot, I see someone who looks suspicious, I walk away. And normally it's just a kid who's not feeling their best that day, but it makes me have to be on high alert, which definitely distracts from my learning.
I was almost a school shooter. In a moment of pain and anger, I almost committed a terrible atrocity. I was going to express my extreme anger and rage by getting a gun. I was going to attack either my school or a mall food court. It really didn't matter to me which one. It wasn't about the people. It was about the largest amount of damage in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of security.
Since when have schools become a no-go zone for children?
I was told I was worthless by just about everybody in my life. And when you're told you're worthless enough, you will believe it.
Anxiety, depression, self-harm, suicide. These troubling statistics predate the pandemic and have only gotten worse since.
A devastating decline in the mental health.
Real mental health
crisis.
Walking through the halls, I could tell that a lot of students had all this pent-up emotions and nowhere to take it out in a healthier way than the way they've been doing it through fights and yelling and stuff.
My name is Nick, and I'm going to be the next school shooter of 2018. I am nothing, I am no one. My life is nothing and meaningless. I live a lone life, live in seclusion and solitude. I hate everyone and everything. With the power of my AR, you will all know who I am.
That darkness that I've been staring at for so long, I just ran headlong into it. I had nothing left to live for. I literally had nothing to lose.
To say that someone who goes out and massacres a bunch of strangers, that's not the act of a healthy mind.
He had different explanations for how he thought the victims might react. Maybe he had hoped one would hug him.
It might be a person who's alienated and troubled and angry and resentful, who's marinating in hate, someone who is indifferent and hopeless.
I think with the training that the peacemakers were given, the whole de-escalation, trying to connect with that person, anybody in an altercation, having somebody where you feel understood and you feel heard anytime that you're not at your best. And with peacemakers, us being able to really connect with students so they don't feel alone, so their internal violence doesn't turn to external violence, I feel like is a huge step to lowering the statistics and making a safer environment, especially in schools.
When the kids at from Southside talked about the Peace Academy and what they started and how they were changing their school's reputation, sounds like they put a really positive input at their school.
Dr. Daniel and I had attended a Rotary meeting here about the program that's going on at Southside right now. Everywhere you go, safety is a concern. And we wanted to make sure that we were proactive. and that we have the safest schools around. And so that's why we were working on the referendum.
Because we've seen the goodness that's happened at Southside, and they want to bring us to the other schools.
The referendum includes other things like mental health therapists and student advocates that would be in the building. It does include some equipment, and that will help us identify if there's an issue.
Having school therapists or like school therapists at school, I feel like that would help a lot of students.
I really do think that someone being there to talk to help the students before they get into fights will really help.
Everybody, I feel like, just could use a therapist at some times, and having those in the schools that you can go to is just such a beautiful thing that you don't have to be scared like what's gonna happen.
Thankfully, I wasn't alone in that darkness. That best friend who had saved me, I was sleeping in a shed, he saw this place that I was in. Treated me like I was a person. And when someone treats you like you're a person, when you don't even feel like you're human, it'll change your entire world. And it did to me. He stopped me with his acts of kindness from committing that atrocity that day.
I think the referendum needs to be passed because peacemakers in every school is a dream. It's just like something I want. I want them in every school across the country, across the globe. I think peacemakers are like just a great program, and if this passes, we'll get them into every school, and that's just so good. But also, like, there's so many different like outlines to the referendum.
If the referendum gets passed, then me going back to school and advocating or promoting the peacemakers, yeah, I feel like it would put an even bigger positive impact if the referendum and the peacemakers work together to make something happen.